Good morning, Rabbi Eli. Hold on a second. Technical difficulties, I forgot. Do you want to be brought up to the front? No, okay. We have a very choshev guest here. We're not going to show him. All the way from South Africa. He made our app. I was on a safari 2 years ago. I was in a restaurant, and all of a sudden I met a Yid, never met him before. I told him about the 8-minute daf, and he says, I want to make the app for you, and so it was. Just like that. I didn't even know him for 2 minutes, and he made the offer. Rabbi Eli today's shir, and here he is today. So shkoyach Rebbe Eli, and shkoyach for coming. Dear Rebbe Eli, my name is anonymous, Shlomo Chemtob. I learned about your program from Sonny Halawani, and he said, I'll enjoy learning the Gemara. I had a Rebbe who said, I'll never be able to do it, and Sonny said, learning with Rebbe Eli, I will enjoy it. And by Ari Davis from Golders Green, London, in honor of our new granddaughter, Shira, born in Yerushlayim, may we all be zoicha to share in each other's simchas. Shalom Aleichem, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Get over here. There's a lot of guests here. We have 3 people from Carnation from Moreshet. We have South Africa. We have, where are you from? London. He said, Mefurish, Golders Green. So we have London. Who else? Raise your hand. We have a Yerushalmi Yid from Ramat Bet Shemesh Bet. Shalom Aleichem. From where? From Australia. You're an imposter. Get over here. All right. Rabbi Eli, our siyum is going to be taking place by the Kaisel this Thursday night. We have an amazing guest speaker, Rabbi Orlovsky himself. The Olam loves him, huh? Beautiful. There is a little bit of a cost involved. There is a sponsorship available. The sponsorship is about, the whole thing is about $10,000, but you can do partial, you can do this. Here's another siyum taking place in London. Do they know it costs money, those 70? They're registered? 70 already registered and space is limited. Okay. In Beis Hashem, the MDY London Chaver are working hard to arrange our first proper MDY siyum in London B'tzibur. There's a great buzz and energy with so many wanting to come be mishtatif. Okay, etc., etc. It's in London's in Golders Green, in a restaurant venue. So please email mdylondon@gmail.com. With love and appreciation, Adam Labato, MDY London siyum organizers, David Goldberg, Gabriel Emanuel, and Shlomi Leitner. Shkoyach. From Benjamin Schwartz, hello, Rebbe Eli. Thank you for making this year the best Daf Yomi in the entire world. When I saw the video of Tim from Tennessee, my first thought was, wow, even he does the Daf. But then I realized that although he's slightly mishugan and thinking of becoming Lubavitch, he doesn't do the daf yet. I was super impressed that Yosef was able to blur out his shirt. Now, I got to tell you the story about that. Yosef blurred out his shirt, costing us 470 views. Because 517 views. There were 517 views. He erased that whole video and started again because he noticed on this shirt there was a little bit of a word there. So it was worth the cost. If you go onto Daf, I don't remember what Daf it is, and you see that there's only 400 or 500 views, it's not because it was a shvach shir, it was a very good shir, Tim was on it, but it's because we erased 500 views. Okay, fine. You should also know that there's 120 views approximately every day before the shir goes on, which get erased by the time. Close to 300 views that get erased automatically every morning because by the time we transmit it live and there's a bunch of people that watch it and then it goes off. Once he posts it, all that goes away. Unstoppable man, our fearless, unstoppable, a man of a million stories captain. Okay, can't wait for the upcoming cruise. This one is by Yisrael Goldstein. And then, I have a lot of emails, but we're not going to get to all of them today. You want me to do them? Okay, I'm doing an extra one. Yaakov wants an extra one. We're doing an extra one for Yaakov. I came to Manchester this weekend to visit my father after not seeing him for more than 2 years. Bekitzer, he says, he just met Rabbi Avram Weisfish and Shmuli Weisfish, and Yossi Dahari did all the things, Gishmak, and he says, listen to this. Sunday morning comes around, and Rabbi Avram Weisfish says, I want to take you to the airport at 5:45 in the morning. This is a Yid that he's never met before in his life. But he says, I would be amazed at the offer, but fortunately I'm getting used to and almost taking for granted that this is what is expected from Bnei HaChabura to do for others. You have instilled in us a new level of Torah and Chesed that's becoming second nature for all your listeners from a very proud Ben HaChabura, Yisrael Goldstein, Manchester Borough Park. And I wasn't going to read another one, but because Yaakov wants me to read another one, so here goes. Good morning, Rebbe Eli. Firstly, thank you for amazing share. I joined share in Zoom Psachim. I started coming to the live share in the middle of Yoma. As a guy who really enjoys his sleep, it got to be really good share to get me out of bed. Anyways, he says that I asked about Atzala Bet Shemesh and how come a guy drives on Shabbos. And it's a great question, but the answer is a guy does not drive on Shabbos here anymore. The kids they're looking for a guy. There's a whole, it's a big thing. I got this from Avremi Cohen, Yishkoach Avremi. Another one, Yaakov? No? Whatever I like? Okay, no. Okay, no. But if you tell me no emails, I'm going to do another one. Here, this is for you, Yaakov. Here, this is a car in Manchester, not with one, with 4 magnets. Yishkoach, and finally, Rav Mati Grunberg with Brian Kessler in New York somewhere. All right. Rabbi Isai, we already surpassed the Yoma Gemara give out. We already reached 680 Gemaras given out for free to the new Mishtatim of Masechta Sukkah. We are still aiming for 1,000. Put it on your status. I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure if I was told by the Magichir to do it, I would do it. Who here has free Gemaras on their status? Anybody? Take a second and put it on your status right now. Leon, you have it on your status yet? Leon wants to put on Yeshua. He wants you to show him how to do it on his status. Rabbi, we're holding Daf Amud Beis 2468, 13 lines from the bottom. Omer Rav Yosef. Omer Rav Yudah, Omer Shmuel. Remember, this is Shmuel talking here. Lo yochachu bepikuach nefesh achar roiv. When it comes to Pikuach Nefesh, we don't start making cheshbonos. Oh, most of them are not Yidden, so maybe we shouldn't be matzel. We don't go by the roiv. Ask the Gemara, Echi Dami. What is the case? By the way, for the rest of the sugi, when it says kusi, it's supposed to say something else there. It's supposed to say nachri, which is another lashon. Maybe I'm not going to say it because of YouTube, but because of the censor, back in the day, they took out the word kusi. A lot of Gemaras, those Vahadars has nachri. Our scroll still has kusi. My Gemara has kusi. So, but it's not really kusi. If you're going to say there's 9 Yidden and 1 non-Yid, Ruba Yisrael Ninu. So, obviously, we're going to go with the Roiv of Yisrael is no Shaila. Elo Palgo is 50-50. Safek Nefashis Lahakel. When it comes to Safek Nefashis, we go Likula. Now, Elo Deika Tisha Kusim v'Yisrael Echad. I'm afraid I'm going to forget to say this. I'm going to say it now. We spoke about Chai Shah. We're going to get there. And I should say it there, but I'm scared I'm going to forget it. So I'm going to say it here because I mentioned the word Kula. And it came to me. When do we say Kula? For instance, if we know a person is going to live, and I explained it yesterday in the Mishnah, we're going to explain it today. If we find a guy in Miami who, not in Miami, in a different place. We find the guy that's in a Mapoilas, the building fell down. We find him, he's alive, but we know he's not going to live that long. We said we're allowed to continue being Mechal Shabbos. Saving the Fashis La'akal and for Chai Shah. Question. What if they say that if a person happens all the time, do surgery on this person, he's 95 years old, he might die during surgery. But if you don't do surgery, he'll live for a few days. What do you do? Is the Chai Shah, for Chai Shah, we're Mechal Shabbos and we save him. So for Chai Isha, do we not do surgery or we do surgery? What do we do? You hear the Shaila? He's going to die in a few days. But he might die instantaneously. So do we say, for Chai Isha, to keep a guy alive for 3 hours, we're Mechal Shabbos. So do we do, the answer is, we don't do Chai Isha l'kula, but not l'chumra. So if he might die during surgery, that's not a reason why not to do the surgery. You keep on going, you do the surgery. Oh, I just wanted to say it out. Says the Gemara. So so that's not what we're talking about. So what's the case? That we have to say a chiddush that there's no roiv. It's the opposite. 9 non-yidin and 1 yid. Very interesting. We're talking about hilchas roiv. And in Hilchas Roiv, we have the concept of kavua. If you're there, they're stationary, they live in that building, then we don't go by Roiv and not Roiv. Then every person is kemechza mechza dami. I heard a nice vart. Don't quote me and don't take this literally. But I heard from Rebbe Yosef. He says, kol kavua. If you have a kvius and a shear every single day, kemechza mechza dami. It's as if you learned a half a day. Now don't go to the Rebbe and say, I learned a half a day every day. Rabbi Yosef said, but it's a great vart. What do you mean? It works for everything. If it's kavua, if you do it every single day, b'kvius, kemechza mechzadam. Lo tzricha. So the question is, now we're not going by roiv. There's not a roiv. So don't tell me that by pikuach nefesh we're not going by roiv. We are going. They're kavua. If they're in that building, they live in that building, then they have a kvius, and you have to be matzel them. You have to be Michal Shabbos to save them. What happened was they're not kavua, just like in the case of meat that comes from another store you found outside. They all moved from this building to that building, and then boom, like a guest in Florida. He doesn't live there. He came to that building and then it fell down. So Meli is not a kavua, then you have to come on to a roiv, and we don't say roiv when it comes to saving people. Mao the same called the parish Meruba parish. I would think that since he moved from another place, he came from the roiv. And if the roiv are goyim, then we don't save on Shabbos. But we have a question. There were 9 non-Jews and 1 Jew in one chotzer mefakchim. You are Mechal Shabbos. B'chotzer acheres a mefakchin. So you see, they do go after the roiv. In another chotzer, if they move, you do go by the roiv. Like Kashya, hada parish kulu, hada parish muktasayu. If we don't know for a fact that a yid moves from this chotzer to that chotzer, and it wasn't the whole, it wasn't everybody. So now you cannot be Mechal Shabbos. You don't know that he went there. Now going back to Shmuel. Shmuel says the halacha that when it comes to pikuach nefesh, we don't consider the majority. We just save. Like my story. If you don't know, if you're new to the shir, Leila Seder, 1 o'clock in the morning, I knock on the door, open up the door, and there's a baby in a basket. Not so a basket, it was a car seat. Baby in a car seat, blue eyes. So what do? Now I lived in Lincolnwood then. So you go, what's the roiv? Roiv and not yidin there. Matzah tinuk mushlach. And Rashi says that you know that it's not a mamzer, he's well taken care of, there's a note. This kid, look, ganz geschmack, fat cheeks, blue eyes, nice clothing, nice car seat. Imroiv kusim, kusi. So I would have to assume that kid was a non-Jew. Vimroiv Yisrael, Yisrael. And the Gemara is going to explain what's the difference, Jew, not Jew. Mechza, 50-50, then we say Yisrael. You have to be mefarnesim. I would have to take him in and bring him up. But if it's a girl to marry a kohen, she doesn't have yichus. You can't say that a kohen can marry her, because a kohen cannot marry a giyaris. So we don't know what's going on here. We don't know what the yichus is, so no yichus. Ushmuel Amar, then the story was that it was Alex Jakubowski's brother. He just played a prank on me. these kids now, I just saw them in Lincoln, they're about 14 years old, they're twins. He was one of the twins, and that was the end of the story. It was Lil Seder, I don't know how he had the time for that humor, but it's like after I'm like debating what to do with the kid, he comes out of the bush, he goes, ha ha, I got you. Okay, it was a good one. Ushmul Omar, Lefakech olav esagal. Now, Shmuel says, only if there's a roiv, only if there's a majority, do we have the ability to remove him and be mechalel Shabbos. But you see, Shmuel's the one that said ignore the majority. All of a sudden now Shmuel says we're not ignoring the majority. Shmuel was talking about something else. Imrov kusim kusi. The Reisha says that if the majority of the city are kusim, we find this baby, we treat him as a kusi. That what? Shmuel, on that Shmuel comes and says, no. Yeah, if you're in a city of Rov Kusim, nevertheless, you should go ahead and save this kid. And what does Rav hold? Rav is going to be mechulik, and we have to understand why. Im Rov Kusim Kusi. Now, it says, if the majority, let's go back. If the majority of the city are Kusim, we treat him as a non-Jew. We just said that if he's in a pile of rubble, we save him. So what else is there? We say Mechal Shabbos for him. Even if he's a guy, we're Mechal Shabbos. So what's nafka if he's a guy? You find him, now what do? You could feed him nevelos, not a problem. Until he becomes a gadol, you feed him nevelos. Im Rov Yisrael. Now, until what point can you feed this kid nevelos? The majority are goyim, the whole city, Rov, 90%, 51% of goyim. You can feed him nevelos. What if it's 50-50? You can no longer feed him nevelos. So if you can't feed him nevelos, if it's 50-50, then what's the nafkamina if most of the city is Yisrael? Why are you telling me a situation of Rov? Where did the nafkamina come in here? It's either half, most goyim, if they're mostly goyim, you could save him on Shabbos and you can feed him nevelos. If it's 50-50, you can no longer feed him nevelos. And if it's Rov Yisrael, now what? What's the chiddush here? Oh, if I find a lost object, now let him prove to me that he's a Yid and I have to give it back to him. He has to prove it to me that he's Jewish. What's the case that if there's 50-50, literally 1,000 Yid and 1,000 non-Yidin, we treat him as a Yid. So here's Nizakin. For a second, real quickly. This is one of those dapim I really hope certain oilam is not watching on YouTube. If an ox gores another ox, there's three halachas here. If a Yisrael's ox gores a nachri's ox, I don't know what a nachri means, but it's a nachri, you're potter, 100% potter. Wow. If I smash my car into a nachri's car, I'm potter. Go, keep on driving. Okay? A nachri that smashes into Yisrael, we're not racist or anything. He's chayiv 100%. And halacha number 3, if a Yisrael gores a Yisrael's ox, this ox is the Yisrael's ox, he gores another one, then it depends, tam and muad. If it's the first time, then the one the Yisrael pays half. If it's the third time, 100%. Okay. Now that we know that, if the Yisrael's ox gored the ox of the Nachri, let him bring a raya. Then why are we saying it's 50-50? What's going on here? We have 50% is Klal Yisrael, 50% Nachrim, and we treat it as a Yisrael. So what happened there? My ox gored somebody, I don't know what his heritage is. I don't know. He might be a Jew, he might be a Nachri, I don't know. So why should I pay him? Let that Nachri prove that he's a Yid, and then I'll pay him. So I don't pay him anything. Some random ox, we don't know who he is. He might be a Meshilanu, he might be not. He gored us. The lav Yisrael anoshkol. Here's the big chiddush. Beautiful chiddush. Another ox gored my ox. The most I could get out of that guy is 50%. Why? Because even if he's Jewish, he only owes me 50% because his ox is a tam. And if he's not Jewish, he owes me 100%. But I need to prove that he's not Jewish. For me to force him to pay me 100%, I need, now, the onus is on me, I have to prove it. And since I can't prove it, I only get 50%, and that's the chiddush. If you look at the Mishnah, there's a few chidushim. It says, let's look at the lashon. Mishnah Safek Husham, Safek Enisham, Safek Chai, Safek Mei, Safek Nachri, Safek Yisrael. What's all this? What's this lashon back and forth? So the Gemara says it's Loimi Bay Kamar. Loimi Bay, not only Loimi Bay Safek Husham, Safek Enisham, not only in a situation where I don't know if he's there, maybe nobody's there, maybe there's no human beings. The Yisachayu the Mefakrim. If he's alive, even if there's a very good chance, like this past Shabbos, statistically speaking, it's not very good. But you keep on working on Shabbos, you keep on looking. The Israel. Now, certainly, if the whole building were a bunch of Yidden, but even in a building where there's a lot of non-Yidden, you keep on going, you keep on Mechal Shabbos, Mefakrim. Now, if you find him alive, you see his legs moving, you keep on digging on Shabbos. No, what's the big chiddush? Of course you dig. What, are you going to leave him there? Say, hold on, let me wait until Havdalah. It's in another 12 hours only. Of course you could. Even if you know that he's only going to live for a few more minutes, it's going to give him a little extra life. You go in and you save him. Now, two stories. There was a guy that Lo Yaleinu had the machla, and the doctors told him he could only live for another 2 months. But if you do treatment, you'll live for 6. Mamish, this is exactly what happened to my mother. The exact words. So he chose not to do treatments. The family was very upset. What? So they tried to convince him, nothing. I'm not going to do treatments. It's not a way to live. All the hair falls out and it's terrible. Well, you sue him. Not doing it. So they went to Rav Shach. And he said, I don't care. I'll go to Rav Shach, but no matter what he says, I'm not doing it. So go to Rav Shach. Rav Shach said, let me ask you something. When you come up there, are you satisfied with your life? You're good with everything you did? He said, no. He said, no. So they're giving you a few more months to take care, to do tshuva, to do all that stuff that you need to take care of. And he's makabel. Of course, the story goes, he lived another 3 years, whatever. Okay. Another story. This Rav Zilberstein says, I saw it in a few places, but I like Rav Zilberstein's version because the guy came to him. The other one's not mamish 100% that he came to Rav Zilberstein. A doctor came to Rav Zilberstein and said, listen, I had a dream. It wasn't a frum doctor. I had a dream that this patient that I pulled the plug on came to me and said, why did you do it to me? If I would have lived another day, those Yisurim of that extra day would have been Mechaber XYZ, and now I have a big problem in Olam HaEmes. And the doctor was frightened from the dream, and he came to ask Rav Zilberstein what to do. Rav Zilberstein said, learn a lot of Mishnais for him, etc., etc. Anyway, you see, few minutes in this world, even be Yisurim, even attached to machines, has there's something to it. What's the chiddush that if you find a body, don't do anything, just leave it as is? What's the chiddush? If there's a body laying, the guy's already dead, and the fire's coming towards it, you don't do anything. You don't pick up a body. A body's muktzah. It's going to be bezayin ameis. It's terrible for the family to watch. You don't touch. I hold that you could do Issa D'Rabbanan. We're talking about Issa D'Rabbanan here. Issa Muktzah. Not to dig with a shovel, which is Issa D'Oraisa, but to move the body. Says the Gemara, it's only by a fire. That person's going crazy, can't see his relative like that. Eli Stefansky, if you don't allow him to do Issa D'Rabbanan, he'll be over an Issa D'Oraisa, so we allow him to do a D'Rabbanan in order for him not to do a D'Oraisa. Eli Stefansky, what's going on here? There's a bunch of rubble. So if you say, don't move the rubble, and if he goes crazy, what's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to move the rubble. So you didn't gain anything by allowing him to move the rubble in the first place. In the case of a fire, you did gain. You gained the D'Oraisa. Tana Rabban. This has ramifications and application to halacha l'maisa today. Where do you check a dead person? How do you know that person's dead? And it happens to be with machines and ventilators and these kind of things. You have these shilas. They had, I think they still have the shilah where in London somewhere? In Manchester. Right now they have the shilah. How do you paskin? What's dead? Brain waves, the heart, the breathing. If you see there's no breath coming out of his nose, you put a feather there, whatever it is, you see nothing's coming out, halachically he's dead. And that's the halacha. La halacha. You check his pulse. Today they do both, right? They check the pulse, they check the breath. And this is mamish, unfortunately, what's happening today. Even if you find the upper level of the building, they're dead. So you'd say a kavachaymer. Well, certainly if they're in the bottom level, you have all that rubble on top of them, it's certainly that. No, not necessarily. We believe there's always a chance. How about those guys that got stuck in the cave for 40 days, right? Don't say that. There's a a building fell down, collapsed. They found the upper guys dead, but they were able to retrieve the live ones from the bottom. Says Gemara, perhaps this is similar to different machlekes. The Gemara is going to say it has no connection, but the Gemara tries. The Sanya, where does life begin from? One man says from its head. Shenemar, Ata goizi. It says the word goizi. Goizi is a lashon of here. Nizreich. So you see, life starts from the head. This is a picture that Rebbe Avram Weisfer sent me. Apparently, because he's sending me things from animals. There's the animal, the first stage of life. And if you look closely, here's the head, and here's the umbilical cord. This is the umbilical. So does life start here or here? That's the shayla. Starts from his umbilical cord. Look, it goes different directions. What? I don't know, but it's probably a cow. He shucks cows, sheep. That's what he shucks. I don't know. Maybe shachta chveisos, any yudi. I don't know. I don't think he pulled this out of a science book. I think he took this because it has his finger here. Well, you don't see his finger, but in the picture he had his finger. What's the connection? This is where the Vlad is noitzer. This is where it's created from. The Gemara understood that since it's created, most of its life is from its head. So if there's no life in the head, then you can assume he's dead. Or if most of his life is from his umbilical cord, then you have to check the heartbeat. The Gemara says, no, we're talking about where it's created from, not where it continues to live. Everything is created from the center of when it comes to saving somebody. Even Abba Shaul would admit that life comes from breathing. And the story, if a person's not breathing, he's not alive. So Rapapa explains what's going on here. He qualifies it. If a person is searching, he reaches somebody's toes, and he keeps on digging and digging. Now we have a shayla. Does he stop by the heart, or does he stop by the nose? What if it's the reverse? If he's digging and he hits somebody's head, and he gets to the nose, and there's zero breath, he could assume, Nevach, the guy's dead. It's not necessary to go to the heart. Once you get to the nose, you don't have to go any further. At the end of the day, it says over here that we go by the breath. But Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav Wosner, they say today we have machines and we can see a heartbeat. So we should use that heartbeat. If there is a heartbeat, then we go and we figure out, we could understand that the person still has some life to it. That's what they paskin. They still go by the heartbeat. Even though the Gemara over here says we go by the breath, that's because they didn't have the capability to see the heart. I might have mentioned this, it's Kedai anyways. I was once zoicha to be by a surgery by my father-in-law, and that's the time that I pretended to be a visiting professor, and I made him a sugar during surgery, and I made everybody crazy. But at one point, I was removed from they kicked me away, and they told me sit on the side, behave. So I'm watching from a distance, and I noticed that the screen that shows the heartbeat is a straight line. Flat lines. I'm looking, interesting. Should I say something? I already made the meshuggah. So I just wait, and it's just flat. And there's a guy, the anesthesiologist sits behind, and his job is to watch the screen, administer medicine, and he's not doing anything. So then finally I said, just on the side that the screen is actually attached, and this guy's dead, it would be a shame to do surgery on a dead guy. So he's like, Dad, the screen. He goes, I said, no, the screen. And he looks up. He started screaming, code, whatever. And they start pumping and throwing it. And they made a big suit afterward. I mean, I shouldn't say this, because this is, on my father-in-law's watch. Poor guy woke up from surgery, had no idea that he was flatlined for a minute and a half. They revived him, everything was okay. And they gave me the printout. I have a printout at home of a flat line. I mean, with once in a while, like every 10 seconds. Okay, anyway. Yeah. Kolamatzel, nefesh, achas, me'ena Yehudi, kilukiyim, whatever. Okay. Ma'amish, a doctor. Yeah. Ask my father-in-law this. The Maisa, he says it a little differently. He didn't really. Kids, okay, whatever. No, he admits. Anyways, the Gemara says like this. Listen to this beautiful sugya. 7 pshatim. How do we know that you push off Shabbos for pikuach nefesh? You have these gdoilei ador, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, the greatest Tanoim. V'levi asador. Rashi says, I have no idea what that is. V'Rabbi Shmuel ben Aisha, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, malchem achreim. How do you know that you could push off Shabbos for pikuach nefesh? Beautiful pshat. There's a burglar in your home. You're allowed to shoot him dead. Why? Because it's possible that he comes armed, and if he bumps into you, he'll shoot you. So you kill him first. Says the Gemara, but we have a suffix. Is he coming to rob you or to kill you? As we go to the worst of the worst. To kill somebody is the worst. You're allowed to kill somebody to save yourself. So in other words, you're allowed to do the worst of the worst to save your body. So then of course you're allowed to be Mechal Shabbos to save a body. Makes a lot of sense. And the Gemara pushes off all these things. Rabbi Kiva says, I have a pshat. If a kohen kills somebody, or they kill somebody, you got to remove him from the Beis Hamikdash. Take him out of there, kill him. But if he's in the middle of performing the avodah, he's on top of the mizbeach performing, wait until he's done. We keep on going. That's if you want to kill the kohen. But what if the kohen knows testimony on a guy that's about to die in court, and he's performing the avodah, but we need his testimony? So then we pluck him off the mizbeach right away, so he could go save somebody else. Says the Gemara, we don't know if his testimony is going to hold. It might be a joke, his testimony. Look what we do. In order to save somebody that's in court, we pull somebody off the Beis Hamikdash, which is the pushes off Shabbos, Beis Hamikdash, the pushes off Shabbos, just in case. And it's possible that what he's saying is a bunch of shtusim. Yet to save somebody else, we do this. So certainly you're allowed to be Mechal Shabbos to save a person who's certainly dying. We just turned to pay Amud Beis, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim Group, for all those who need Shidduchim, Refuas, and Yeshuas. Please join Tehillim.8mindaf.com. So, whatever. You'll put it on the screen. This is a good one. Mila. To do bris milah on Shabbos. It's 1 out of 248 limbs of a person. You push off Shabbos to fix 1 out of the 248. If you want to fix his entire body, of course he can push off Shabbos. Save his whole body. Rabbi Eli I, You should keep Shabbos no matter what, in all situations, even if somebody's going to die. Ach, cholak, ach, chilek, or cholak, chilek. It comes to qualify, it comes to tell you in what case. Not in the case where somebody's going to die. Another pshat. Rabbi Eli ben Yosef Omer, ki kodesh hi lochem. Shabbos is kodesh to you. He misur biyadchem. Shabbos is for you. V'layate misur biyada. You control Shabbos. Shabbos doesn't control you. You don't die because of Shabbos. Rabbi Shimon ben Asi Omer, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael sa Shabbos. This is one of those cases that the main word is missing, but we know it, Baruch Hashem. L'doiraisam beris olam. Shabbos is for doiros, for generations to come. Omer Torah, Chalel of Shabbos Achas, is better to be Mechal one Shabbos, Kadeshi Yishmor Shabbos is Harbe, and even in a case where you know he's going to die today on Shabbos, he's not, but he has other opportunities, other mitzvahs. Omer Rabbi Eli Shmuel, here comes the bomb. Says Shmuel, Yihav Hasam, if I was there, Hava Amina Didi Adifa Mididhu. My pshat is better than their pshat. V'chai bohem. The Torah was given to give us life, not to take away our life. You don't die because of the Torah. You don't die because of the mitzvahs. Listen to this, Yisrael Meir. You want to hear this? Give me a moment and don't interrupt for a second. The Gemara says over here that we have 7 pshatim. Why is it that Pikuach Nefesh pushes off Shabbos? Comes Shmuel, and these are Tanaim that say all these pshatim. Comes Shmuel the Amoyer and he says, my pshat is better than all your pshatim. Didi, adifa mididhu. Perhaps there's a beautiful message in this Gemara. Didi, my life of Torah is better than your life of non-Torah. Don't think that the Torah is restricting us, doesn't allow us to do this, oppresses us, holds us back, we can't have fun. V'chai bohem, the Torah, a life of Torah, that is life. That is the best way to live life. Look at our families. Look at our marriages. Look at our children. V'chai bohem. It's geschmack to be Yid. It's geschmack to learn Torah. Didi, my life, adifa midahu. You like that? Should be the first pshat in Gaiva Delio, no? V'chai bohem v'loi sh'yomuz bohem. All right. Omar Rava l'kulu, and that was. I felt so geschmack when I thought about it this morning. Mamish, I felt like wow. Then I came this morning. I saw Leon. I said that's what it was. It was l'kovid Leon, that pshat. Because Baruch Hu gave it to me for l'kovid Leon. Omar Rava l'kulu islu pircha. All the pshatim that we just said, all 7, I can refute. Bar midish Shmuel, the Leslie Pircha. Besides Shmuel, the Rebbe Shmuel, you'd say the first pshat, Dilma Kederavid Omarava, my time by the Machteres. Why are you allowed to kill somebody, a burglar that comes to your house? It's not a suffix. Basically, the Gemara is going to say all the pshatim don't work on a suffix. They only work on a vadai. The reason I'm allowed to kill a burglar, because he's a vadai going to kill me. Who comes into somebody's house unarmed? They come armed, and they know that if unfortunately you bump into them, they're going to fight it out. It's their life versus your life. So it's a chazaka, you know, the ma'aminatzma al-mamoynoi. V'mei the yada the koyla pay. He's going to come towards him, he's going to fight him. V'mei koyla pay, I'm going to kill him. The burglar is going to kill you, and the Torah therefore says, you should kill him first. So that's in a case that a person's going to kill you, you're allowed to kill him. Where in the world do you see a case that it's a suffix that you're allowed to kill somebody else? And we're talking about a suffix. The Rekiva Nami, his pshat, what does the Bayi say? That you pull a guy off the mizbeach in order to testify for somebody. But that's not because it's a suffix. We're not saying that he's going to say shtusim. We know for a fact it has good testimony. Why? Masrin Zuga, you bring 2 Talmidei Chachamim that give him a good faher, and they ask him on the way, is it good testimony, not good testimony? It's not stam a joke. And therefore it's a vadai. So in a situation where he has good testimony, 100% good testimony, it's gonna hold up in court, then that's a case where you take him off the mizbeach. Safik min Alan. How do you know you take off a guy? Misafik. V'kula ashuchan vaday. And all the answers. The bris milah one. That's if there's a bris vaday today on Shabbos. What if it's not? It's Safik Shabbos. It's a Safik this. You don't do it. You don't push off Shabbos. Okay, etc., etc. Acholak, the same thing. Ud Shmuel vaday lesle pircha, but Shmuel's pshat v'chai bohem. No. Omer Avinu v'temer v'nacham bar Yitzchak. Tova choda pilpelto charifa. Going back to the hot pepper, the ghost pepper. It's one tiny piece of a hot pepper is better and stronger mimila tzana de kari from a whole basket full of gourds, of pumpkins that don't have that much taste. In other words, Shmuel, we're talking about Rebbe Kiva, Rebbe Lazar, all the greatest Tanoim. Shmuel, who came many generations later, his pshat was better. The little guy, his pshat was better than all the big ones. Says the Heilige Mishnah, the official Mishnah sponsored by Fishel. This is a very, very important Mishnah. We're very, very familiar with this Mishnah, with most of it. And there's even a song at the end that we probably won't sing not because we don't have time, but because it's 3 weeks, and I wasn't 100% sure if we're allowed to. Says the Mishnah, Chatas va'asham vadei mechaprim. If a person brings a chatas, a carbon, for an aver he did, and asham, vadei mechaprim. That's it. If you do tshuva, it's mechaper. Now, the question is, why doesn't the Mishnah say anything about tshuva? A second later it says, Misa v'yom kippurim mechaprim im tshuva. If a person dies, his death, together with tshuva, Yom Kippur, together with tshuva, is mechaper. How come it doesn't say chatas, needs tshuva? You know what the answer is? Very simple. Rashi asked the kasha. Beautiful answer. When a person brings a chatas, the Beis Hamikdash, obviously he's doing tshuva. Why else is he bringing it? He's not forced to. He wants to do tshuva. But guess what? Death, he's forced. He didn't ask to die, and he didn't ask for Yom Kippur to come. It happens by itself. So that's why I have to tell you that he's doing tshuva. Tshuva mechaper salaveris kalos. When you do tshuva, you regret and you accept in the future you're not going to do it. It's mechaper for the smaller averis. Allah say, the Gemara is going to go into it. But a really strong aver that's a chiyuv kares, he toila. It gives you tshuva, but you need Yom Kippur. If a person says, I'm going to do an avera, but I'll do tshuva. Let me enjoy life right now, and tomorrow I'll do tshuva. He's not going to be able to do tshuva. What does that mean? You see, a lot of these youngsters, the young guys, the teenagers, let me enjoy life now. I'll do all the averas in the world, and I'll come back. And you see, Baruch Hashem, many of them come back. They're 20 years old, 21, they come back. So is that echte v'ashuv? Yeah. So, but it says over in the Mishnah, we're not going to give them, the answer is, they're not going to be inspired min hashamayim. A lot of times a person has no reason to do tshuva, and all of a sudden he gets that inspiration to do tshuva. That inspiration he's not going to have. If he decides on his own to do tshuva, there's nothing that stands in the way of tshuva. The biggest averis in the world, the shleisha chamurais, you can do tshuva for. So, certainly, a teenager like that could do tshuva. If he says, I'll do a chet, and don't worry about it, Yom Kippur, Kippur is coming soon. Kapara alecha. Hey, Yom Kippur mechaper. Yom Kippur doesn't work for that. Aver sheben olam mokoim, Yom Kippur mechaper. Yom Kippur is only mechaper for Aver sheben olam mokoim. Aver sheben olam mechaveroi. Hey, Yom Kippur mechaper at Shira chaveroi. Yesterday, I might have been mevayish somebody berabim, and I asked him mechila after shir. So I'm going to ask him mechila now berabim. I don't want to be mevayishim, but you know who you are. You walked behind me and I said it, I spurted out. I feel bad I said it, and I'm asking you mechila. You moichol? Okay, shkoyach. You have to ask mechila. And he proves it from a pasuk. Only the averes they do in front of Hakadosh Baruch Hu does Yom Kippur mechaper. I should already ask mechila from Judah and from Yaakov and from David, all the people I pick on during shir. Okay, what? Nachman is a different story. Nachman! You sure do, baby! It was just a hint. Don't ask for me, I will ask for you. We're both going to you know where. Okay, so you learned it from Apostle B'fnei Hashem. If anybody wants to know what time it is, just look at the screen behind me. Omar Rebbe Kiva. Were you spacing out, Judah? Singing Barabim. I'm not sure. Ashreichem Yisrael. Lifnei mi atem taharim. Look, who are you becoming tahar? Now, it's brought down that sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to give it to you, sometimes you do it by yourself. Mi mitar eschem. Who gives it tahara? Avichim shebashamayim. Your loving Father in heaven, shenemah v'zorakti aleichem mayim tahirim utahartem. Throwing you some water. We could darsh in the pasuk also that it means a mikvah. Literally, they go into the mikvah. Ma mikvah mitar satameim. Just like a mikvah has the power to be mitar pilar tamei. Avakadosh Baruch Hu mitar Yisrael. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives tahara to Klal Yisrael. This is the last words in the Mishnayos of Masechtas Yoma. Have a wonderful day.
Good morning, Rebbe.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good morning. Thank you for finishing up the baby story. You had us all like nobody could focus on the learning. We were worried about the baby.
You all know the story.
The look of confusion on Eli Dykman's face was fantastic.
Yeah. He was about to call Shemrim on
you. Nachi, you picked the wrong 1 minute. The 1 minute, meaningful minute should have been that the Chai Bohem thing. That's a beauty.
Well, one, you should know, I told my wife when you said that today. Tonight you said it, the Chai Bohem. That merch will be next week.
Today.
Hello, that Chiddush. I was so excited when I came up with it. I have no idea. I was like, schmack.
Now I'm on the inside.
I started from the back. I started from the Chai Bohem. Then I realized, wait a minute, the Gemara says, who? It all fit in. Mine is better than theirs. That's development.
Amazing.
Hey, Ravelli, Ravelli, can you hear me?
Yeah. How you doing, Mendel?
First of all, Shkaich, if I might say so myself, I saw a meaningful minute today, and so I watched a podcast like 2 hours ago.
You mean meaningful people? There's a difference. There's a minute and there's a people.
No, so they sent out a minute, so then I watched the podcast. I signed up for Sukkah, so I'm here now.
Wow. Nachi's bringing clarity to the world. Look at that. It's not even a joke.
Yeah.
Who's here?
Avi Mandelbaum. Okay, tell
Oh, wow.
Take off that mask.
Didn't recognize
Put it
you.
on your eyes. Who's that masked man?
Ellie, they celebrate July 4th.
Where are you from, Mendel?
I live in Miami now. I'm originally from Colombia.
Ah, very nice.
Colombia.
What's going on?
Nachi, are you coming to the Siyum? Mark Ashkenazi promised me that you're coming.
Where is it?
Wait,
Who gave him the phone?
Let me close the door. Locking the door. That's it. Done. Now he's going to get on his phone.
Yeshua is going to get 1,000 people. First, he's going to want Mendel's phone number.
Who was it? There was a guy from Miami. I forgot who it was. Mark, maybe you'll remember. He's like, I'm very good friends with
Stoudemire. Yeah.
Mari does your shear every day. I'm telling you for a fact. I don't think.
Yeah, we were going to track him down the night when you're in town. He's in Brooklyn. Amari's in Brooklyn.
No, he's in Miami. Then he's in Miami. The guy swore.
No, the guy's in Miami. But Amari's in Brooklyn. He's coaching.
Amari's Miami.
He was in Miami before the basketball season. Then he went to because of the Nets.
Even during the season, he's in Miami most of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's because
Maybe you should come to the Miami.
I'm an Amaritz. Sorry.
Mark, you're very late. Of course, I got Mendel's number. What do you think? Do you think I'm sleeping here? I just need Yaakov's number. Who's gonna get me Yaakov's number? I got one down. Now I need the next number.
I can give you Aryeh's phone number.
No, thanks. Don't need.
Yeshua, I gave you my uncle's number. You still haven't put him on the chat yet.
I only have a few short minutes to talk to these guys.
Ellie, as I said,
trying to get somebody's number.
Guys, it would be easier to recruit someone to Daf, the Stefansky TV show, than to get Ellie to post something on his status. For 3 years, I work with this guy. 3 years, I said, Ellie, give me your phone. Let me post on your status. It's the hardest thing in the world.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the mute.
Oh yeah.
Next.
Where's the Shmuel Bernard? Anybody see him?
He was here. He was here for the shear.
Yeah.
Shmuel was here.
I wanted to say hello to him. I haven't seen him in a while. He used to come a lot to the shear, and then
Sunday mornings.
Somebody was bugging him when he came here, so he stopped coming. I went to talk to him.
Okay.
Solicitors.
Mr. Mizrahi's on from Teaneck.
Akiva, I saw a picture of you. Where was the picture?
Morning, Joe.
You were with somebody. What was the picture?
Nechemia and Yosef
Oh
Mack.
yeah. You were in the Nechemia. Where? You were in the canteen or something?
Yeah, we did the share last night in the from the canteen. We did a little Catskill get together.
Did you get free food?
I held back, it was a little late. I already had my mouth before I got there.
A nice way of saying no. He didn't offer me anything.
He actually did. No, he did offer. He did offer.
How many
did
people
offer.
went to visit? Like this guy, nobody even knew that he existed. All of a sudden, like he had at least 10 visitors. No?
Who, Nechemia?
Yeah.
Not 10. Yeah. Mark went. I went.
Almost. We're close. Come on, Dominion.
The only short
And
answer.
we had Dr. Ben Schwartz. He visited.
Oh yeah, Ben
Ben-
Brandon.
Papa.
Then met Eli Trapper today.
Ooh, Eli Trapper. Wow.
All right, speaking of Ali Trapper, he says you should go to Davin.
It's almost. It's getting later.
Yes,
All
man.
right, Deborah.
Have a wonderful day.
From Lakewood. What's outside?
Take care.
Maishi Hirsch from Lakewood. Maishi Hirsch from Lakewood's on also.
Here, Rabbi Eli, look at Leon Welcher from
Good
South
day.
Africa.
Good morning, Reb Leon.
Good morning. How are
We've
you?
been waiting every day. We're watching the cameras every day, looking for where's Leon.
Leon, stay here. Don't go back there. Where's my cousin? What's with him? Was he not on?
Which cousin?
Uncle Phil.
Oh, Uncle Phil?
Yeah.
He's out to the Yid. He's sleeping already. So it's a long day by 10
What
o'clock
should I
at
say?
night.
You know that people are dying like crazy in South Africa? They had so many levias that there was a guy that was nifter on Friday. They couldn't bring his body to Israel. They didn't have enough people in the Chaver Kedisha to work on him.
Shem Yishmereinu.
From COVID. COVID is still a killer, brother.
Wow, terrible. It's like we had last year, still the first
You're up? What's going on? You're up?
He's zoning out. He's
No.
Spanker.
That's a fake.
You gotta smack him up.
No, here he is.
There it is.
Oh.
Clap, and he wakes up.
Stay here, but you shouldn't go and live in Herzliya.
I'll see you guys later. I gotta run to davening. Take care.
Tzlacha. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Take care.